All right, good evening, everybody. It is May 6th, 2018, and these are the IDN Capstone student presentations for the spring of 2018 students. This is our second session, and we will get started with Karen Macedo, and I will turn things over to you, Karen.
Hi. So my name's Karen Macedo, and my thesis project was on onboarding faculty. And the reason I chose this project is because I have worked with a lot of faculty to train them in our LMS, which was Blackboard at the time, very last minute. It seems that we always have classes to fill at the last minute, and I really saw a need for this. So when I started working on this, I realized that faculty needed a lot more to training than just learning the LMS. So I really came up with this really kind of cool onboarding course that now our new LMS is Canvas. So not only is this going to work well for new faculty, but it's also a resource for existing faculty to help train them in a new LMS. And in addition to that, it also is going to help them learn some new technologies, like some Web 2.0 tools, and maybe give them some updated pedagogy. So how it teaches is, what it teaches is it's going to teach administrative tasks in addition to basic and advanced LMS techniques, and it also teaches some Web 2.0 tools. So I'm going to show you how it does that right now. So here is my screen. And nope, didn't want to go into my email. There we go. So here we are. So this is the homepage of my course. And this is one of those things I really want to highlight. I'm really proud of this. I really kind of showed my graphic design skills here. Because if you notice, the buttons are not all centered. That's a big deal for me as a graphic designer. But it really helps everything, just kind of like shows you what's going to be in each module and what you're going to be in for learning. So this syllabus and orientation. But due to lack of time, I want to go over modules 1 and 2 and just kind of highlight a little bit of my Web 2.0 tools. So module 1 is the administrative tasks. And when I started this, I went to Academic Affairs and I asked them what they wanted me to cover. And they gave me like a 2-page list of like some really boring stuff. Roster verification, faculty intervention. So you're going to see how I handled that so that it wasn't just reading and reading and reading. Because as we learned, you have to break stuff up. It's just too much of a cognitive load to just fill up a screen up with text. So each module starts with a video. It's not an instructor perspective necessarily because there's no instructor. This is a self-paced course. But it is the perspective of a person who has kind of a stake in that module. So the first one is going to be from Megan Kahn, and she is the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs. And she's going to tell you kind of how this module works and why you should learn these tasks. The homepage of each module has links to, so faculty, if they already understand roster verification and attendance, but they don't understand FERPA, they can just click right into that. There is a short self-assessment quiz at the end of the module, so you can kind of test your knowledge, and it's set up with pages so that there's a next button on each page. So here, this is the roster verification. Faculty can read through this, and if they find that there is, they want more information, they can simply click here, and then they get more information without just everything being on that page when they first go there. Also, another thing that I did to kind of cut down that cognitive load when you first look at it is on grades to SIS, I created a couple of PDFs for different things. So here is the PDF that I created showing faculty how to post their grades to SIS. Once again, it just basically goes through in pages like this. And there is a self-assessment quiz, which, here it is. Nope, that's Zoom. The Zoom button keeps going over me. There it is. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. So here is the little self-assessment quiz, and I just wanted to show you. There are multiple.
Karen,
yes.
It swaps in that now we're seeing you instead of seeing your screen. So I don't know if you have to reshare your screen or I mean, we can look at you. If you want us to be seeing your screen.
Yeah, I do. I had like I had this like all set up.
I
So,
know. It's
oh,
always the way it is.
are you seeing my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I had different tabs open so that I didn't have to open things during the presentation. So anyway, this is just a basic self-assessment quiz, and it just shows you that if they answer the question wrong, there's feedback telling them the correct response. And that's how I, set this up. Back to, like I said, I just wanted to highlight a few things. So when they do learn the LMS basics, once again, it starts on the LMS basics module. And this just goes over some of the things that Academic Affairs wants you to use the LMS for, Canvas. And in this one, the video is going to be from Brian Chick, who's our instructional designer. And let's see, I'll just show you the syllabus link. So each one is set up with tabs instead of pages. The pages are for each resource, and then there are tabs. So the first tab basically tells you what it is, and then there's a video or guides if you prefer to reading. So the faculty has a lot of, they can do it the way they want to do it, basically. And then I just want to show you one more quick page because I know I'm getting close to my 6-minute mark, and that is my Web 2.0 tools module. And in this module, I'll just show you a quick engagement and how I have this set up. Once again, this is pages. This page is on engagement, and it shows you a Padlet. And this is a Padlet that I created. There's a flip grid. I have an example, tutorials and examples, and a voice thread for engagement. So it just gives faculty a couple of new little tools to use. So there we go. That's my presentation. And any questions? Well,
Ruth, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
you can't hear me.
I
Okay.
see. No, I can hear you, Karen,
go.
but Ruth's mouth is moving, and I can't hear
Okay.
anything.
Isn't that always the way? Karen, I thought that was excellent, and there were a number of things I liked about it. I think the look is great. I think what you told us about your little buttons being not centered, that is exactly the kind of little fix that can drive you crazy and take a really long time to do. But doing a number of those little things really does affect the look of the whole site and makes it look so nice and neat. And I like knowing that you had built, I know you did a Web 2.0 project in my class before, so I like knowing that you had taken what you've been learning and built it in. This is a thankless task, this kind of onboarding, because faculty members, they don't want to do it, they don't like it, but they need it. And so you've made it as palatable as I think that you possibly could have. So nice job.
Thanks. Well, I also gave them a little carrot where, and this is a choice for them. If they want, the last module is a wrap-up where they can get digital accreditations through Credly badges.
Very cool.
So
I think that makes sense to give them a little incentive to do it, because like Ruth said, they might not want to, but everything here is really content that they need. And I think you've done a great job of organizing it down into a way that's easy to find, it's easy to navigate and get right to the different things. You know, they may come in familiar with some of this and not other pieces. So it's easy to find what they might be looking for. And it's really, I feel like it's really strongly learner driven. You know, you've designed it in a way that will work for them. It's self-paced. They don't have to do it at a particular time. They can move through it as quickly as they want or take time with different sections. So you did a really great job, and it's hard to, I think, like Ruth said, make Canvas or Blackboard look palatable. So you did a nice job with your design skills as well, pulling it together. So great work.
thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with kind of just how it looks visually. It's awesome. And I just want to comment on the engagement part. Really cool job on the engagement part. I like the Padlet. Voice thread, Flipgrid, all that stuff is awesome, and the quick tutorials I think will help out a lot. So I love all three of those things. So that's awesome for engagement, I think.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments for Karen? In the chat, Kimberly and Paula and Troy are all saying great job. So make sure you take a look at that later. Any other questions? Otherwise, next up we have Jason. So when you are ready. Jason, I will listen out for you. Oh, Karen, so if you click the share screen button again, that will give back control, and then that should allow Jason to take it over.
Let's see, test, test.
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, okay.
All right, and I'm going to ask everybody else to turn off their mics so that Jason can have all the bandwidth he needs. And you are ready. I can see your screen.
Okay. So, hi everybody. I want to start off by thanking you all for coming to check out our Capstone projects. So, thank you. So, some background about the project. I teach technology education at Sharee High School in Wallingford, Connecticut. And one of the courses I teach is Introduction to Computer-Aided Design and Drafting. This course is taken by a wide variety of students, from freshmen looking to build up their tech ed course load early, to students looking for a, quote, easy credit, and anyone in between. The course is split into 2 halves, with one semester focused on learning drafting basics by drafting on paper, and a second half revolving around computer-aided drafting using 2D software called AutoCAD and a 3D drafting software called Inventor. I've found over my time teaching this class that many times students will not ask for help because they're too embarrassed, or because there's 20 of them and one of me. There's just not enough of me to go around. And a lot of times they're kind of individual questions that aren't necessarily easily addressed to everyone all at the same time. Additionally, the class throws a lot of specific vocab at everybody all at once, and that can get very overwhelming very quickly. So due to this, I decided to create a website that our students could use at any point to reference drawings or techniques without feeling the need to bug myself or anybody else in class. So a key component of this design was mobile access. Our traditional drafting lab doesn't have any computers, so computers would be accessing this resource on their phone. Additionally, it means computers, or students in the computers, in the computer drafting portion of the class, can pull up the resources on their phones and use it as kind of a second screen while they're drafting in our computer lab. Using Google Sites let me create a website that would look great on both a computer and a mobile device. So you can see the home page here. And you can see if I preview it in a, excuse me, a tablet or on a phone screen, it makes things very easy to look good, and it's easy to see. My students have already given me some feedback that they love, what I did, and that it's easy to use. So that's always great. So let's show off some of the glossaries here. So I started working on the traditional drafting area here. This is an example of our tool cabinet. You can see it goes through all the different tools and some of the terms that students are going to be using in class. And you can see if I switch to a phone, everything adjusts super easy. Google Sites was ridiculously easy to use, and I highly recommend it to anybody. But the bulk of the work here was in the computer-aided drafting section. So I had a lot of frequently asked questions. Just have some text and some photo examples here, a couple of videos. The important part here is in the CAD tutorials. Each drawing we do is on a Ditto, so I have these scanned in by PDF. So students can access this. They get hard copies in class. This will also excuse me, be available for them to use. Then I have the tutorial videos. This was the part that took up the bulk of the work. So in each tutorial, I'm hoping everybody can hear this, but students will be able to access these videos whenever on their phone, if they're at home working on stuff or in class. So just a variety of stuff here. So there's a bunch of video tutorials you can see. A couple more complicated tutorials, again with the Ditto file. And the key here is everything pops up in the phone view, making things nice and easy, and they can access it anywhere. So I guess at that point, can open it up to questions or comments.
That was very nice, Jason. It really looks great. I thought it has a nice, clean look. I think you know your audience really well, because the fact that they have a resource if they're embarrassed to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a picture of the tool chest, so when you tell them to go get a square and they don't know what a square is, they can have a little help instead of embarrassing themselves and everybody.
More often than I would ever think it would.
I taught high school for a long time, and I am sure that it happens. And the other thing is how many times you've given somebody a handout which they squished into their backpack.
Every day.
So they have a way to compensate for the screw up things that are going to happen to high school kids. So I thought it was really very nicely done, and I like that you thoughtfully used Google Sites so that you could have easy access for them on their phones and on a computer and iPads.
Yep, and that helps. The Wallingford School District has Google Apps, so everything just all integrates all in one spot.
Great. Well, very nicely done.
So yeah, Jason, I think this looks really great, and we are from the same town, and I recently got in an argument with someone on our town forum about why students would need to use their cell phones in class. And I think this is a perfect example of a way in which students could use their cell phones in class, and it would be of benefit to both the students and the teacher to not have to go over these things over and over again and interrupt while students are working on projects. So I really like that you're responding to a student need. And like Ruth said, the fact that you chose Google Sites, which is something that would automatically help you to format things for either use on the laptop or on their phones, I think was a great move. So it looks good, and I imagine over time that you could just continue adding to this the way that it's
Absolutely.
built and designed. It feels like you could just keep stretching it as students have different needs or different questions. So
Absolutely.
Great work.
Thank you.
I hope it helps you in the classroom. It really looks good.
I also really liked this whole resource as a teacher and as an online student. I could see myself using this in a variety of different contexts, so different subject matters. I know that even like for my resource that I'm going to be presenting with in a little bit, I constantly have to go back to Google to refresh myself on something that I've already learned, or go back. And so like having something like this for every content area, I think this is amazing. And I wish I had this when I was in school.
It is as much a resource for me because I'm one of 3 teachers that teach this class. So we're constantly sharing stuff. And because we only each do it once a year, you need a refresher yourself. So having this here will help us out next year for sure.
Yeah, this is great. This really is great.
Good job, Jason.
Thank you.
And you have some comments in the chat too, Jason, so when you get
Sure.
off. All right, Kimberly, you are up next, and Jason gave back control. So if you hit that share screen button in the middle, at the bottom, we can see your screen.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sure. No, I was waiting to just make sure I could hear you, so I can hear you.
Yep.
You're good.
So it's just it's through Captivate, so I'm just loading it right now. So I'll as soon as it's loaded up, I will pull up my screen. But I can give a little bit of background. So this project is called First Position. It's a ballet app, and the reason why I decided to create this is because there really isn't anything available that it's of good use to dancers, and ballet is one of the foundations in dance. So, and it's sometimes the least enjoyed of many students. So I just thought it would be a nice way to engage younger students and try to get them to want to learn ballet through an interactive flashcard app. So that's just a little bit of the background on it. Now, sorry, it's taking a little bit of time to up. Okay. Okay, can you see it now? Just want to make sure.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is once they download the app onto their tablet, phone, this is what they'll see. So they're either as a new user, an existing user. So we'll sign up, create a username, password, then it brings them into the first part. So we have a flashcard tutorial, and then you can continue on to the levels. So I'll bring you to the tutorial. First position. So when you click this button, it'll tell you the word, and then we click here, and then click there. A position of the feet in which the heels are back to back and the toes point out to the sides. And then the last would be the video icon. Okay, and then return to the flashcard, and you can end. So now I'm going to show you some of the levels. I'll click through some of them faster, but then I'll slow down for some of it. So again, here's the flashcard. First position. Then we click, the card flips, and we have a position of the feet in which the heels are back to back and the toes point out to the sides. Just gonna skip to the next one. So we've got our next one. Position. You can view the video. You can also make it full screen so you can see it better. And I just cycled through a few of them, but so you can get the idea that here are the flashcards. A position in which the feet are at right angles to the direction of the body, the toes pointing out, with one foot forward and the other foot back. All right, take a look. I'll show you another video. I mean, so most of my work was done around gathering the content for the app. I have 15 flashcards per level, and there are 4 levels. I'm just gonna quickly clip through. And so that's 60 terms. 60 terms, and so that means 60 different videos and 60 flashcards. Gradually stretching one leg to the front, side, or back. Through. Show another video. Okay. Just gonna click through a little bit more. Okay, so once they come through, they'll earn their badges, 1 for each time they cycle through the flashcards. From there, they're going to go into, they'll be opening up a test. So this opens up, and they will have to answer multiple choice. So what is the word connected to glissade? They'll have to know from there. And each of them, just gonna. Okay. I'm gonna get to my next part, which is, I know I'm almost up with time. So is the matching part. Sorry. So I've got the matching part. Okay, so they have to watch a video, and then they have to determine which of the different terminology it is connected to. I'm just going to show you one more thing. So after they get a 90% on their testing, they will then get to unlock choreography. So I'm just going to show very quickly from this slide. So they'll get to unlock a dance. Hold on just a second, that's not working.
Kimberly, don't worry. Take a couple of extra minutes. This is
okay. Sorry.
Cool part we want to see. No.
Yeah. So they'll unlock a dance. Hopefully this one works this time. Okay, so unlock choreography. So I'll just play a little bit of that. And so they'll unlock choreography with each level. And what it does is it takes all the moves from that level and puts them into a choreographed dance. And so that is basically, so that'll be everything for the same levels. It'll be the same kind of idea for each level. So sorry it took so much more time, but yeah, so that's basically it.
It's very nice. That looked great, Kimberly, and I know you did a ton of work on all those videos, and I think I said this to you along the way when I looked at one of your drafts, but I love that it's a little boy that you have there. And
yes.
It's not all about little blonde-haired girls, in pink tutus.
Absolutely.
That's actually fabulous, and it's quite a useful kind of a tool for somebody who really wants to get the basics down. And I know the part where it pronounces things for you, when it gets first position, second position, people can probably figure out. But when it gets to the French terms, that's
yes, absolutely
it really comes in handy. So it's neat. It looks like it's easy to use, and it seems like a great idea. And I think you did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kimberly, it looked great, and you did a good job of finding a way to represent the work to us, because I know you ideally in your head really wanted to have an app, and I know that didn't completely pan out, but I think that what you were able to show us of your concept looks really great, and I hope you can make it happen that it becomes an app someday, because I think it would be useful. Sort of to Karen's point, she had said she always wondered how you were going to be able to teach ballet online, and I think you really kind of proved here that you can teach just about anything online. This would probably work well as like a supplement to a student who is taking a dance class, but I know when my daughter was taking dance, it's, they go for an hour a week, and so in between having something like this to bridge that time would be great. So I think it looked great, and I love the concept of unlocking a dance. It felt sort of like the Just Dance video game where, when you get to a certain level of competence, you get to have a reward. So that was really cool. I love that concept. Troy's raising his hand, so I will turn it over to him.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great job, Kimberly.
Thank
I think
you.
the flashcards were really well done. I thought they were great. I liked how you had the audio and the video icon too. That was really great. Couple questions for you. How did you determine the level of users that you had, and why did you decide to use Captivate?
So with the first question, for the level of users, I actually grew up dancing, and my best friend now owns a dance studio. So she was my mentor through this. And so her ballet teacher also kind of helped me pull together terminology from each of what she considered like the beginner level into beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. So we were able to figure it out that way, segmenting it that way. As for why I chose to do Captivate, so I was going back and forth between, once I couldn't do the coding for the app, I was going back and forth between using Wix or using Captivate, but I had just come out of a class last semester using Captivate, so it was fresh in my mind, and I liked that I would be able to put all my audio that I collected and just put it right into one space. I couldn't figure out on Wix exactly how to do all of that in the way that I wanted to present it. So, I mean, maybe if I had more time, I would have done it differently. But yeah, hopefully that answered your questions.
Oh, it does. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
All right.
All right, Shane, you are up. I see you're unmiked. I see your video, and so you can take over when you're ready.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So my resource was a website, and it really focused on informational reading and writing. And the reason I chose this as a resource, just based on my school, based on my county, just having a heavy ESOL population, you know, this gave me a chance to like differentiate some things and, you know, really set it up in a way that I would think would appeal to our kids. And also seeing that a lot of times when we would give assessments, especially assessments that required kids to write a response, you know, the responses were all over the place. Some had a whole paragraph. Some had 1 or 2 sentences. Some weren't even on topic. So hopefully through this is a way that I can get our student population there as well as, you know, hopefully help with kids in the county too. So let me share my screen and get to the homepage. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the homepage right here. It kind of has a little welcome video, and I did the whole theme around this website was kind of like spy stuff. I don't know if Kristen mentioned it, and I guess, you know, the new Mission Impossible movie is coming out now too. So I just kind of went with that because I thought it would be like a cool way to get the kids engaged. But it starts out with a quick video, gives them a introduction, a lot of spy stuff involved in that. If you click in the middle, there's where the reading missions would start. And that down here, based on our county's reading curriculum and the Common Core curriculum, these are the main informational reading strategies for 4th grade. So I'll go up to the top where it just says join now. And on this page, you know, the kids get to see, you know, just a little introduction video that I did with the iPhone 10. And this is where they put in kind of their recruit information, like they're signing up or, you know, for an important mission. So they're a reading recruit. And then at the end, they have to come up with a special code name, because as I was presenting this to my class, they were just putting their names. And I was like, well, maybe if we switch it up to, okay, instead of your name, you put your, you know, agent, and then they put their name after it. But of course, the main part of this is the mission part. So if I click on missions, and it takes you to the mission room, and it shows you the key reading strategy that you're going to be doing for that mission. So if I click on mission 2, which is summarizing, which is something actually we're doing in class right now, it kind of takes them through an introductory video on what they're going to be doing as far as the strategy, what they need to accomplish by the end of the mission. Agent, glad to see you made it back. With another spy theme. This is like a sample retinal scan. So some of the kids were actually looking into their computers, thinking that their eyes were getting scanned. So that was fun seeing that. And then it breaks down the mission to them and what they're going to be doing. And then I'll just take you down through kind of each part. Part 1 is the instructional video. 1 is just kind of like a fun, just video from YouTube on that strategy. And then the other one is kind of like me as a person, let's say from headquarters. I can't think of the guy's name from Mission Impossible, or not Mission Impossible, but 007 that always talks to James Bond. But kind of like that, where kind of I'm talking to them and giving them the steps of the mission and what I need them to do. So I go through what it is, what they can use. So then I have 2 graphic organizers attached for their during reading strategies. And for each one, I kind of have 2 to kind of differentiate and let them choose which one will work better for them, which they can download and print out, or download and take digital notes. And then the next part is, and I try to find high interest informational articles, especially with what's going on in the world today, especially this one is just water worries. And then after they do that, and I looked at the Lexile to make sure they were, right around 4th grade reading level. And that's how I chose those articles. And then I'm getting close to my time, so I'll hurry up through this one. But kind of as I was seeing as they were doing their written responses, is didn't really know if they were comprehending the text or not. So kind of each one just gives a quick multiple choice question on whether they really understood the main strategy that the article was talking about. So I'll give them multiple choice. Obviously that one was incorrect and it'll tell me at the end. And then this one is kind of like just a sort, where they have to determine the important information. Once again, I'm not really looking at this. I'm doing this really quick. Oh, I got that one correct. Didn't even look. And then this kind of leads them into the written response, which is, how to formulate a really good written response for that strategy. And then after they look at this, they will go to the sort, and they would have to put it in the right order. And I do have stopping points for that. So let me kind of put this in the right order really quick. In this article is mostly about, this is a summary. This is important because, also I think that's the right order. Hey. And then they could always go back and review what they missed. And then after they click on this last one, it'll take them back to that page. And then they will go into their written response. So I'm really thinking a lot about the feedback principle as I was going along. The quiz and review would give them instant feedback, and then the written response, which would come to me, would be, I'll be able to give them a more detailed response after they submit the article or the written response to me. That is pretty much it. There's one more page, which is I call the spy room. And that's just a room that I can always update with different stuff that we're doing, just kind of depending on that week and what I see. But what I have up right now is just kind of like a feedback form for them, just in spy style. The headquarter that they're working for needs feedback about how their informational reading spy missions have been going. And I think that is about it. I guess I will open it up now. Let me click on this button right here. And okay, stop share. There it is. Okay.
That looked great. It looked like, Shane, like you had a lot of fun with it, which I always think is one of the most important things about teaching. If you're having fun, then the students are.
Yeah, you should probably see my classroom then. And yeah, we have a lot of fun every day.
That's great.
From all the stuff I have up to.
I thought I really liked that you tested it with the students. Did you show it to them after it was in a more complete state, or?
You know what? I shared it with them kind of like in incomplete state where I didn't have the links to the graphic organizers. And then I was kind of looking at their written response. I'm like, wow, some were really good, some of them really weren't. So then I redid some stuff. Went through my explanation videos and then added the graphic organizers, and it got a lot better. So, and of course, kids will always give you good, honest feedback, especially, 9 and 10-year-olds.
Right.
So that was good.
That's great. It's really an important skill, and people aren't learning to write very well, and anything that can help is going to be very welcome. So I thought you did a great job with it.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
I agree with Ruth, and I love the spy theme. I think that would really appeal. I have 11-year-olds, so I could see that appealing to that age group. I had a question, and it's gone. I was going to say that, just like Jason's, I could see you adding to this as you continue to.
Absolutely. I mean, that was in the back of my mind. I'm like,
yep.
Wow, if I had more time, I probably, and especially I can just, always add, for what I'm seeing, at least in my classroom, or what I'm seeing, like, as far as based on our data, I can always change stuff up and add stuff to it. I think it's a good resource that you can always update.
Yeah, it has that feeling that you could expand and continue to include things and easily kind of swap out resources. Like you said, you looked for things that were kind of relevant to the time right now, but in a couple of years, you might swap out some of those articles and things like that. So I like the way that it's built, in a kind of a way that it could expand. So I thought it looked great. You did a really great job. And like I said, having kids that age, I could see that it would be appealing to that group. So.
And you got rave reviews in the chat window. You should go back.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Shane. Who's next? Sharee is next up.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I'm trying to see. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out of my way. Hold on one second, because the bar is like in my way.
No problem. We're doing great on time, so don't
Can you
feel.
see my screen?
I can see your screen. I can see a Zoom is
Got
open
it
in your
out.
browser.
Got it out the way. Okay. All right. So let's see if this is working for me. This is really nerve-wracking to not be the first person. I apologize too. You might hear my dog. She gets really anxious.
Don't apologize. It's all good.
Kenzie. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about my site before I get into the whole presenting of it. And so with my project, what I decided to do, this came about for a couple of reasons. So first, my son, naturally, he just loves basketball. And we didn't realize when he started to really play that it was going to become such a passion. And then as a classroom teacher, that's another thing where basketball is just huge. Everyone was always wanting to, fight over the basketball, who's going to make it to the court first. And then I started, my son became the age where he was using the iPad. And little by little, it just was, Mommy, can I go on YouTube? Can I do this? And I do that. And it's you're always kind of reaching over oh, what's that one? Oh, which, just trying to make sure that it didn't change. And that it just, it just wasn't an inappropriate video. And then with basketball, he came to love, he switched players many, many times. And then his player that he loves the most right now is Steph Curry. And one thing that I loved about just when he started to gravitate towards that player was what he stood for, his morals, his values. And so I started thinking wow, it's so cool if kids would not just see just the basketball side and really, understand that it's a whole thing with, just being healthy and having just that mindset of being a winner, because we read a lot of his books and we knew that Steph Curry was someone just Michael Jordan. They weren't picked the first time around. It was oh, you're the smallest and this and that. So for them to come to the place where they were, I just thought, I want to do that for kids. I want to put it all in one place. So that's how this website came about. And so first what I did was I wanted to keep the parent information separate from the kid site. So it's geared towards, I will be honest, I was specific with with boys, because I knew widening it to girls and boys would just be a little bit more complicated with different things. And so I had a specific audience in mind. And again, looking from my classroom and the boys and how they just needed an outlet when it came to basketball. And the age range is typically 7, I would say, to about 9 years old. Kids who are more at the beginner stage, not so much advanced. So this is the parent site. You log in, are you a parent of a child basketball player? Just letting them know this is basically what the site's going to be about. There's a quick video. Sorry, I didn't play it before. And, just a quick thing just to get started. And then I changed the layout after looking at feedback from everyone, and I just made it a one-pager so that parents were just in one spot. And so it's pretty simple about Q&A and Kid Ballers. They're all built with anchors. So it's really just a one-page site. and it tells you a little bit about the program and, you know, some questions that you can kind of go through if you're having any questions. Should I be using this for my kid? Why is it appropriate? And then there's different articles that they can look at where it just emphasizes the benefits of basketball for young kids. And then it just basically says, you know, though, so that the acronym, or not the acronym, but the name that for the child is a kid baller. So that's kind of like, my son gave me that idea, and it just kind of evolved from there. So he was like, oh, I'm a kid baller, and these are all, you know, they're going to be kid ballers. So that's kind of like the name that I refer to the kids. So then you go to that site, which is here, and then this brings you to what the kids would see. So I was very specific. Again, I teach third grade. This is the first year where they get Chromebooks, and I was taking a lot of feedback from what they like to see and noticing different websites. If they're too busy, sometimes the kids get distracted. So I purposely put a dark background so that the kids focus literally just on the content, rather than having, like, I know there's some sites where like things are all through the sides, and that can get a little bit confusing. So it's like literally everything just but this, you know, the screen pops out and everything else kind of just fades in the background. So I use Kobe kind of as the on-screen coach, and I transformed him into this character using Powtoons. And so he's the kid's basketball buddy, and he introduces himself. And as you go down, it just shows the kids what they're going to expect from each thing, from each category, sorry. And it's not clickable. It's just, you know, giving them, again, the information. You can get to the site, but the main menu's up top. And then this is for if like a parent happens to get on the site, then they can just go back to the parent homepage. So the kids don't really need to see that. So I made sure that I purposely, with, again, thinking of little kids, they are very big on structure and consistency. So literally every single module kind of follows the same format: watch, do something, and then kind of follow up, except for the Let's Get Started page, which, again, it's just quick thing. So another thing that I did, is every page starts off exactly the same, like with an introduction screen like this. So then the kids can create their profile, pick their team that they want to have. It's just a prototype. And then throughout, they will enter their badge. And so when all 3 badges are unlocked, that's what unlocks the fun zone over here, which I'll get to in a second. I did that purposely because I knew that if I didn't do that, kids would just naturally go to that area first. And so I wanted to make sure that they got the content. So the 3 big categories I wanted the kids to work on were healthy habits, building your character, and actual basketball skills. So every single one of these starts off exactly the same way, where there's a video, there's the watch. So they watch a video. This was narrated all by Kobe. So, for example, let's see if I can just play one for you.
Hi, super talented baller. Do you have healthy habits? Do you always eat like this? Do you spend most of your time playing basketball on a video game and not? You need lots of energy for basketball. Bad healthy habits.
So every single one of the modules has a video from Kobe, just basically talking to the kids and getting them to understand the importance of healthy habits, the importance of building your character, and the importance of having skills for basketball. And then each of them has a learn part. So for example, the healthy habits goes into, for example, the food pyramid, and it just goes through just little things, and emphasis on getting your body moving, being healthy. And on this page, what I did was this, again, prototype, but the kids would be able to mark off, you know, the recommended for their age group is 6 to 8 glasses of water. So there's even an option where you could print it, download it, and stick it to the refrigerator to keep track of your daily intake. And then every module ends with something to do. So this one, it's not a quiz, but more so just like a reinforcer. So, you know, for example, this one, I'm not going to go through it because once you get to the end, you have to just kind of lock it. You have to start over at the beginning. But It has basically each part, building your character. Again, there's a checkup there. So it's just a quick thing, again, to get the kids started. This one is a hangman one, and it's a game. And then for the skills, I decided to put in some collaboration. I know privacy is a big deal with kids, so I was very careful about that when I was doing my planning. And so this is just like a blog where they can read it and then respond. So there's 2 posts. Which skill do you think you have worked on the most and have the most skill? Is it shooting, dribbling, or passing? Those are the 3 big things that are emphasized in the skills area. And then, hi, kid baller, share your workout from this week. Have your parent help you to send videos, pictures, or just write it down. Here's what I've been up to. I worked out with my friend Xavier. So this is, again, all from the perspective of Kobe. So then there's the video of him and Xavier working out together. So everything is kid friendly from the perspective of a child, so they feel like there's someone's talking directly to them. And then the last part is where you get to the fun zone, and that requires, again, you have to send a message to me, which you would see that on the first screen, sorry. And then once you're there, then that unlocks all the stuff that they get to do. So they'd send a message, there's just little fun facts, trivia, and they can build there's a little bit of jokes there. They can build their kid name. I'll show you that in a second. Just this, I thought this was really cute. This is last year's finals, just in Lego style. So I thought that was cute. And then here you pick your initial of your first name, your initial of your last name, and then you come up with your cool nickname. So for example, I'm Sharee Baskin, so I'd be Big Lightning if that was my nickname. And then the kids come to this site. Sorry, I don't know why it's not working here, but it would look like this, but I don't know why it just wouldn't work on the final site. And then the kids just put their name there, and then that's pretty much that. Sorry, I spoke really, really fast because I had a lot to say, but that's my site in a nutshell. Again, it would be a site that has to be updated a lot, obviously to keep the content fresh and the kids engaged, but that's my site.
Well, that was really nice, Sharee. Some of the things I liked that you have a part where the parents come in, but then the controls get handed over to the kids. And even, for example, with the thing that you download to track your water, I think if somebody's parents handed it to them and said, hey, here, look, you can track your water, that would be one thing. But if the kid has found it and downloaded it for himself, I think that's a whole other ballgame. So I like that a lot. And the fact that the videos are from Kobe is very cool, very nice. One thing I did notice, I think there was one area where one of the typefaces was a script typeface, and I just wondered whether 3rd graders can read that these days. I think a couple of you did projects about cursive and teaching cursive, and I wasn't sure if that was something that kids still can a skill they have. I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I know I teach it, but you're right. It's not taught everywhere. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's good that you teach it. Yeah, we had, I think, 2 people last semester did projects on it that I didn't realize it wasn't taught everywhere anymore.
Yes, it depends on the program and what you have, but you're right. Thank you.
But other than that, I really thought it looked terrific, and you clearly put in a tremendous amount of work on it. Nice.
Thank you.
Sharee, it looks really awesome, and I love how it's evolved over time from the focus on basketball. I think this kind of grew out of a project you had done in an earlier class. So, just the basketball focus to an overall like health and fitness focus, using basketball as kind of the lens to get the kids in there. So I think it's really evolved, and like Ruth said, just an incredible amount of work. You have a lot of great content. And earlier today, I was reading the reflections on the discussion board, and you mentioned your son wants his name on your graduation cake, and I think he definitely earned it. He definitely deserves it, because I can see he put a lot of work into helping you with that project, which is great. I think, whenever you can bring in an expert from your target audience, that creates the most powerful projects, because he knows what kids are looking for, and having his voice.
Critic.
Yeah. His voice as the voice of authority, is something that kids can relate to. So I think it was a great move, and I know it was fun. I'm sure it was fun to do that with your son. So great work.
Thank you. All right. Is my screen still being shared? I'll unshare.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, perfect.
Any other comments or questions? Shane's raising his hand. Go, Shane.
This is just coming from a basketball coach's perspective. Since I've coached elementary, I've coached middle school, and I coached high school too. But any kind of thing when they're young to kind of get them more engaged about basketball and them learning about basketball and how to keep themselves healthy, I think is a great way to get them started, for when they actually start, when they're actually on a team and they start playing. So awesome job. I love it.
Thank you.
Really cool.
All right, and you had some comments in the chat too, so check it out, Sharee, when you get a chance. Next up, Troy. All right, I see you're off mic. I see your video, and you are ready to go.
I am ready. Let's. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Troy Luciani, and my capstone project is on social learning. So social learning is a collaborative that was designed for the Subway field consultant. So Subway currently has a traditional approach to learning. Mostly it's instructor-led. So if you didn't know, Subway is actually rebranding, and we're transforming the learning to a modern approach, kind of give it the name, learn how you want, when you want. So it's more a self-directed approach to learning, and to support that self-directed learning, I've created a resource for field consultants where they can collaborate online through social learning. It's a cohort, so it's similar to a LinkedIn if you've ever been to LinkedIn. So a little background on the field consultant. Their job is to support the Subway franchisee in the field. So their role in the field is currently changing. So we've asked them to do all these things of what you see right now. So it's kind of a lot. They have a lot of hats to wear to support the franchisee. So let me give you a little behind the scenes. Currently, the franchisee call the field consultant a very dirty name, and that is dirt inspector. And in the past, the field consultant strictly went out to Subway restaurants and conducted an evaluation on the restaurant to comply with Subway standards. Since then, we've been upskilling the field consultants and changing the role. And to support that change, we needed to change the method on how we delivered learning. So here's kind of the learning journey path that is for the field consultant collaborative, social learning. I'm just going to touch upon like the 3 points that are going to be important to you. So they're given an article on a monthly basis, and what you're seeing here for the learning journey is on a month basis. So this is all going to occur on the first month. And as you can see on the top right here, so we have coaching. It should be right up there. I can't move this, but you could probably see that, I'm assuming. Maybe. All right, so the first one's going to be towards coaching. That's the first month. And let's go back to the learning journey. They're given an article and they're asked to respond to the article. Something similar we've seen in Blackboard, right? Ruth or Kristen presents us with an article and then we respond to it. They're also given fast track videos, and this pertains to coaching, which is going to be in the first month. And we're giving them this material to learn on different aspects of coaching. Then we'll go into the challenge. And the challenge is really exciting because at the end of the month, I give you a challenge directly on coaching. And then you respond to that challenge, and I have a rubric which will grade you on that challenge, and you'll see why it's important. And then we have a survey at the end to see how that month actually went. So what you're about to see next is the participant agenda. So every month they're given an agenda, and this gives them an overview of what they can expect in that first month of coaching. So they'll read it and they'll say, okay, here's what I know what to expect. And the learning objectives, I'm going to give them really high level for you because nobody wants to go through every single one. So the first one is participants are really going to learn from peer-to-peer exchange. And the second one are participants are really going to use their experience to learn, sharing experiences. And the third one is they're going to use a new communication skill, the resource I'm going to show you very soon. And then the fourth one is really based on attitude. They're going to recognize the need for social learning. Ruth helped me out with that one. You can write a learning objective on an attitude. All right. So let's get to the demo. Everybody hold on to your seats. Let's switch gears here. And that's not the right one. Hold on. All right. You're now in the Field Consultant Collaborative. So you're involved in the social learning. And the three things we're really going to cover today are all pretty much right over here. The wall, the discussion, and the content area. So those are the three that we're really going to talk about. And the wall is really just like where you can post your comments. So like anything like a LinkedIn or you're on a Facebook or anything of that nature, you post your comments at the top and you can add. Well, really there's a facilitator involved in this one. And the facilitator, like you see, I showed you the participant agenda. You post the participant agenda for your cohort or your audience. Here's an article that's posted. You would click on the article, read the article, and then post any comments that you want inside there. So everything has been segmented. I wanted to keep the navigation pane really simple, highlight it. So there's been a lot of detail put into that. The all discussions is very similar to what we had in a Blackboard. So you click on all discussions, and this gives you a more in-depth into, hey, you can't be a great manager if you're not a good coach. That's true, I believe that too. And let's go to the content section on the left-hand side. So the content, you have something that you want to share, like I want to share my video. I've been dying to put this in here for field consultants and coaching. You upload it and it goes directly into the wall on the feed. So you'll be in the wall on the feed. This is also mobile friendly, very exciting too. Everybody uses mobile. I saw a lot of people using that on the Google site. I mean, everything's mobile friendly now. All right, so that's pretty much my site. You can find your group members. You create a profile. Get your mug on there. Look at that shot of me, $1 million shot. And let's transition really fast here. Let's get back into the PowerPoint. Okay. Also added some gamification elements to this, which is really exciting. Badge and point breakdown. So depending on what you post, so if you're a fly on the wall, this is a person who comments on the wall. If you post some media on the wall, you're socially unawkward, discussion or volley, or you're going back and forth with comments. And then there's the challenge, which we give you the rubric for. And we'll grade you and give you points on that. And that's whoever the facilitator is also. Well, who do we have here? Look at these two professionals. So here they are, they're given points, and here's our field consultant leaderboard. And the leaderboard, you put your profile picture in there, and depending on the comments, every week we update it to see who's in points. And we're trying to create competition here. This is to see if you can get to the top. We want you to challenge yourself. We want you to participate in there. I want you to. I know that. And whoever the facilitator is going to want you to as well. And that's kind of it, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing on time, but I'm going to exit out there and come back. All right, I'm ready.
It looks great, Troy. You clearly put a lot of thought into how to get it all together. Is this? Have you field tested it at all with any of the folks?
Great question. So we just field tested it last week on Friday, but before that we had brought in, I had created Zoom meetings with a lot of the field consultants around North America and asked them a lot of questions. So to kind of get their learner profile, who they are, had a survey on it before we started to create that. And I say, I did, but there were some other people who helped out. They grabbed those questions for me as well. So it was good. Yeah, I am ready to go with this, but the company's not.
But do you know what their hesitation is? you have any sense?
Yeah, I think we're not 100% like the polling option. Some of the things too, if you go to mobile friendly, some of the things don't work exactly how they should. So I have to work on those things. It's got to be mobile friendly. I saw everybody was doing it with Google Docs too, and Kristen mentioned that too. She had that argument on the farm. Yeah, everything's got to be mobile friendly, I feel.
And did they give you a curriculum, the things you chose to teach about, like the coaching? Did that come from them, or was it something that
No, that was from us. So I started off with topics that I thought were best for the field consultant, and then through grabbing learning personas and going out in the field and talking to them. So I went boots on the ground, and I found out exactly what they felt like they needed to become better at their job. So their role was changing, right? Like I said, at all these other things. So what did they want to learn most, and what do they want to help out the franchisee with most? So,
Nice.
and they're a really active group, field consultants.
Oh, great. This gives them some whole new set of skills, hopefully. Very nice.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, Troy, this looked great. I think I'm going to start giving bonus points for anyone who incorporates my picture into their presentation going forward. So thank you. It was very entertaining. You know, you do a great job presenting. So you have definitely, if this doesn't work out, a career in presenting webinars, I think you could really do a good job.
Thank you.
But for your project, I mean, I think it's interesting because we've had, I think just about everybody is K-12 who's presented so far. We had Karen who teaches in higher ed, but you know, you give a great perspective into what's happening in the corporate world and what corporate instructional designers are doing, and you know, like you just talked about, going out there and talking to these people and trying to figure out what they need and then responding to that need. And also, you know, so much of the branding is important. To have all that Subway branding is something that they want as a corporation when you're developing training. So I think you gave us a really, you know, in addition to doing a wonderful job with the project and the presentation, I think you gave us a good perspective into what it's like to be a corporate instructional designer. I think the design itself I really liked, and I wish that you know, a lot of the things you talked about incorporating are things that I wish we had in Blackboard that were kind of built in for us, of having that social element, because I do think it's important for helping people to stay connected and to make all of your learners feel like they're also teachers, because like you said, they're all out in the field having these experiences, learning things, figuring out best practices, and to give them a mechanism to share that with one another is really powerful. That's stronger than any training that you could provide just on your own trying to figure out what they need. So I just think this is a really cool example of, you know, kind of the way things are going and the way I hope things will go in higher ed. Maybe 10 years from now, they'll catch up and develop something like that for us to teach courses. So great work. You did a great job.
Thank you. And you know how it goes with like the programmers in the back too. And they always want to know, why do you want to do it this way? And it's like, no, this is the way we need to do it. This is better for the learner. No, but this is easier for me. And you go back and forth, you know?
Yep, that's the truth. You have a bunch of comments in the chat. If anyone has any questions, you can jump in, and otherwise we will thank Troy and get to our last presentation, which is Ashley. All right, Ashley, you are up if you're ready.
I am ready, I think. Can everybody see me and hear me?
I can see and hear you, yes.
Okay, here we go. So just housekeeping. I have 2 very big dogs, so if they start barking, I apologize, but hopefully they're tired out for the night, so we shouldn't have any issues with that. But just to give you a little background into my project, I'm a K-12 art teacher. I also teach at Tungus Community College, a bunch of art histories and studio classes. And so I actually struggled really for a while on what my capstone project was going to be on. And through talking with Kristen and Ruth and a variety of other people at Tungus, I've developed a class that I'm going to show you. It's going to be a complete online studio class, a watercolor class, and it's going to be taught completely through Blackboard. To date, I don't know of any other 100% studio class being offered in a online environment. So that's where the challenge was. So I need to give me one moment while I get my bearings here. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Oh, I'm not screen sharing, am I?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Now am I? Oh, no.
Now it's coming.
Okay.
Yes, and I can
Everyone
see
see
it.
the blueberries? Okay. All right, let's see. So what I want to do is, oh no, I want to be down here. Okay. So here's here's Blackboard. And I created the online watercolor class through Quinnipiac's, one of the sandboxes. So here's what your online course would look like as you approach it. Let me go down to here. And here's yourself entering into the class. So I struggled a lot with coming up with how to present this very unique studio class. So at first I was thinking about doing something through a website or another LMS, but I decided ultimately that because this was such a unique class that I was going to be teaching, to keep it as simple as possible and to keep it with an LMS that a lot of people already knew, which would be Blackboard. So the hesitation of taking an online studio class in an LMS that's very familiar with a lot of different people kind of took the intimidation out of it, at least for me and for the students that I quote unquote guinea pigged throughout this whole process. So they all enjoyed the fact that it was through Blackboard rather than another site, just because of that familiarity. So if you enter the course, this is where we would start. It brings you right to the announcements. And so I have on here for you, I don't have the complete course. It would be a 16-week course. What I have is 2 modules, which would span across 1 week, so 1 week each. And that's how the whole semester would go, or for the whole course duration would go back and forth between this setup of the 2 weeks. So the first week is a concept-based week, and the second week is a skill set week. And so we would go back and forth between concept to skill to concept to skill throughout the whole duration of the class. So the first announcement is the hey there, hi there, and hello, and it's me introducing the class. And then also below that is a watercolor image. So I didn't want to keep this, so in a traditional studio class, you would see a lot of different artwork from a lot of different people and from different time periods, and being that it's online, you don't really get that big open brick and mortar classroom. You get a computer screen. So I wanted to try and give the learner some introduction to different artwork week to week. So each week we're going to see different artwork produced by me, and then going in depending on what the concept and or skill is, you'll see different artwork. So I'm going to allow everyone to see some of these videos, but because we're on a little bit of a tight time frame, I want to kind of go through the whole course first. So here are the announcements. On the side over here is where your traditional navigation would be if you're taking any online course through Blackboard. So I'm going to go right to the, I'll start with the syllabus. So in the syllabus, if we click on the syllabus, you're going to get the syllabus for the year, or the semester rather, detailing how points are scored. Let me see if I can bring up, yeah, here we go. No. So this is a traditional syllabus that I got from my higher ed learning institution, which is Tunxis, and it just kind of dictates everything with what you can expect, your outcomes, expectations, and then breaks down for you your points and when things are due and things like that. So you always have that there as your resource. And then from there you have a supply list, which is telling you what you need to be getting for this course. Going from there is your learning modules. So again, I only have 2 learning modules up because this is the crux. This is where all the information is going to come that will lead into the projects. The projects are going to be not self-efficient, but you're going to get the basis of what you need to do in your projects through these learning modules. So like I said, the first module is concepts. So this is your introduction into watercolor. You have your module outcome, what you need to do to complete the module for the week, an intro to watercolor concepts. So the concept that we'll be looking at is understanding and analyzing the use of black and white within watercolors, which is the first thing that we're going to be doing. From there, it's going to bring you down to the module material, which is going to have you look at a master watercolorist work of art, and then it's giving you a little bit of information about it to form certain opinions. It's going to have you, I'm going to have you then, from this module, what you're going to do is then go into the discussions, which you're going to complete your first discussion post, which is going to be towards your grade. And I pose a question in which you would have to answer. Very similar to what we do now through Blackboard. This is very similar setup to how I do my classes, my online classes that I teach through Tunksys. So again, very familiar. And the feedback on this for the student is pretty instantaneous, throughout the week. If I go back, to the module material and back to the to this whole first learning module. For those people that don't really feel comfortable about talking about art, and especially about watercolor if they've never taken a watercolor class, I have a resource that will take you to a link which will let you look at a conversation about another famous watercolorist's work. And you could watch that. Again, that's an option. It's just a resource that the learner does have. So go back here. Then we have looking ahead as to what's next. So it would be into the skill. So the second module, which would be the second week. This first module is more for the learner to understand the concept, work with the concept, interject their opinions, judgments, and talking about art. One of the other assignments that they're going to have in the first week is a journal post. So, so the first journal post that they're going to comment on is, in this discussion post, please share with me your thoughts as we embark on the first week of our course. So this journal post is an area for the learner to talk just with me and share any comments or concerns that they have. And so it's not open to such a large forum. So that's pretty much module one. Then as we go into the second module, which is the skill-based module, we would go, again, it's very consistent the way that I have structured it. And again, it's very consistent to the way that most courses that I've taken and do teach are set up. So your outcomes, then what you're going to complete. And this is going to be a little bit different. I'm not having the students complete a discussion or a journal, but rather I'm going to have them actually start completing some artwork. So I have the skill that introducing the skill is going to be in this first video clip that I have. The second thing, now this is what one of the comments my mentor and also I believe Kristen talked to me about was how do I assess my students, especially in this way? How am I going to assess that they're actually attaining the concepts that I'm wanting them to attain? I struggled a lot with that because currently, as I said, I teach watercolor to K through 12. I also teach a private watercolor class, and the idea of tests and quizzes are a little intimidating for studio students. I was a studio student. I currently am a studio student. And then I'm taking media-based studio classes and teaching them. And so to give a quiz, like a formal quiz where you would write down, would test your knowledge on the concepts, it's a little untraditional. Usually you would assess these students through project-based and not so much. But I do feel in an online environment there has to be some way to assess to make sure that not the instructor knows that they are getting that information, but you yourself as the learner know that you're going to get the information. And so I decided to include an ed puzzle on the concept that I wanted to test or Oh. Let's see. I wonder if I can just. So I decided to use Edpuzzle. I don't know why this is coming up like this. It should be all set to go, but let me see if I can, instead of doing this, let me go over here. Well, I wonder why this is not allowing me to go in. Well, just for the sake of time, this Edpuzzle is basically where the student's going to be watching a YouTube video clip, and I have inserted questions that will assess their knowledge directly that relates to mixing blacks or mixing neutral colors, because the skill, along with the concept that we learned in the first week, is looking at the use of colors and looking at how to produce a dark without using a manufactured black. So that would be where an assessment would come in on top of the assessing the student through the project that they're going to be completing. So if we go down to module material, this is where the folder is going to hold all of the assignments for this week. And so the first video is going to be on mixing actual blacks or neutrals without using a neutral colored paint or a manufactured black. And then the second example, an assignment that they're going to be completing, is creating an actual composition, a simple composition, but the focus is on creating, mixing your darks and then also using the white of the paper for your highlights. So I'm not sure where I am for time, but I can show you one of the videos if that's helpful, or if anybody has any questions at this point.
You can take a couple more minutes, Ashley, and show us a video. I think that's fine.
Okay, so I'll show you the watercolor example. This is, again, an example of what the students would be expected to do for this week. Okay.
Hi, everyone. So hopefully everybody got through their first assignment on mixing your darks rather successfully. I'm sure that you did. And if you haven't, or if you don't feel successful yet mixing those darks, here's yet another opportunity to do that. And then also, I'll give you some feedback on that assignment, as well as we're going to be working on a lot of these skills that we're going to be applying throughout the whole semester. So for your first assignment, I'm sure that you all did wonderfully. So the second assignment, that's a part of Module 2, is going to be applying now the darks that we just made into an actual overall piece. I have here on my paper a sketched out image of some houses with a sky that's going to be dark in the background, and then the idea is I'm thinking to add.
So I'm just going to go through this a little bit quicker. So I have here, as you can see, the image that I'm about to paint, and then I speed up the video so you're not sitting here watching me talk or paint for 5 minutes. And I believe just about right here is where I do a little bit of a time lapse, where I allow the students to just kind of see rather than listen. And I have music that goes along with it. So if I can just speed it up a little bit to, I think. And so now they're just seeing me paint and how I actually deal with the challenge of using the whites of the paper and mixing my blacks to make a unified work of art. And so this goes through the whole thing all the way up until and that's the second assignment of the second module. So that's an example of an assignment. I'll go back to the announcements so you can see an example of what an announcement page would look like.
Hi everyone, my name's Ashley Lodovico, and I'm going to be your instructor for the Watercolor 101 class. an introduction to watercolor. So I just wanted to say hi and welcome to everyone. I'm excited to get to know each and every one of you. I'm excited to understand your learning styles. I'm excited to understand where you view yourself as an artist and how you're going to grow as an artist. Please don't get overwhelmed. This is a very unique class. This is a complete online studio class, and the difference between an online studio class and an on-campus studio class is that it's never been done before, or at least not one that I have ever experienced before. I have taught a lot of on-campus studio.
And so the last thing that I want to show you is I really would like to get into this Ed puzzle to show you just a different, so if you could just bear with me just for a moment so that I can figure out how to get into this, so that you can actually see.
Yeah, a few people in the chat are saying they're interested in the Ed puzzle.
Yeah, and I'm just.
We have to have a technology screw up, at least one.
I know, and this has got to be the last one of the last. And I don't know, unless I use my, oh yes, okay, so I just used the wrong email. Okay, so this is, now I'm going in as the instructor because, unless I could go in like this, let me see if I can go back. So you could see it as if you were a student taking this. If not, then I'm just going to go simply straight to, oh, here you go. Okay. All right, so I don't need that one. So this is a color mixing blacks, not done through me. I think it's important to see other people creating artwork as well as looking at other people's artwork and not just mine. So what I did is I grabbed this YouTube video off through Ed Puzzle, and then I put in questions so that my own questions, so that I could assess how the students are gaining the concept of mixing blacks. So here we go.
Hi everyone, this is Denise with Liquid Color, and today we are wrapping up our color mixing series with how to mix blacks. There are so many different things that we could touch on in today's topic that I don't think I could ever hope to cover every aspect, but I really hope that I cover whatever it is you clicked on this video for. So, should we use black? Should we not use black? How do you mix black? My mix is always...
And so the first question that I ask is, what do you think? Should you use black? Should you not use black? Why or why not? So it's not just assessing on content, like, do you know how to make a black, what 3 colors make black, but it's also assessing on what your opinion is and how to bring that full circle back into your own artwork, if that makes sense. So I can skip forward to the next questions just to speed up the process a little bit more. Oh no, I can't because I'm this, oh, sorry everyone. I'm going in as the student, so I'm not allowed, I haven't allowed my students to speed up through. They have to go through the whole thing. So I'm just gonna submit something, submit, continue.
Always come out looking like dark browns or some other color. These are some questions that you might be asking. Well,
so she gives you an example of different neutrals and different paints that's out there for you to use. So I'm not simply saying that you can't use it, I'm just challenging my students to come up with a different way to create darks. So I can go through this whole puzzle, this whole Ed puzzle, or I'm not sure where we are on time, but
probably good to start wrapping up, I would say.
Okay, so that's my, so if I can go back here and go back into the announcement. So that's my capstone project, and that's my watercolor class. So I welcome any comments. Where am I? Here we go.
That's very cool. I think you did a good job right at the outset of explaining the challenge that's involved in putting a studio class like this online. And of course, we have some studio courses like our Captivate course or our video course, but it's not quite the same using a digital tool as it is using tubes of paint or pans of paint and brushes and water. So I think you did a great job structuring it. I like the idea that you split up concepts and skills so that you can, you teach each one separately and then bring them all together. And it's also, I just want to say, it's a treat with all of you when we get to see a little bit of the work that you do. So it's been fun to see some of your watercolors, Ashley, as we
Thank you. Thank
go
you very
along. Yeah,
much.
really nice. Great. Good job.
Yeah, I'd echo what Ruth said. I'd love to see your own artwork in there. And I've been doing a lot of reading lately about personalizing the online experience by connecting with your students. So I think by sharing that piece of yourself, it helps to make a connection with your students who can't be there with you. I thought, again, like Ruth said, really well organized. It's easy to find things. The structure is very straightforward. And I think especially like you had mentioned with art students or with studio students, they're accustomed to being there in person with you. So having those videos, you have a lot of videos and a lot of short, really focused videos, I think will really appeal to that target audience. I think they'll respond well to that. And I love the, example videos of you painting. I think that's going to be huge because as much as we can try to talk our way through something like this, the students really need to see. So I think you pulled in a lot of great teaching strategies for the online environment in this course. And I like that the different ways you were able to address the assessment issue as well. So really well done. This looks great.
Thanks. Thank you very much. And I don't know how to get myself, so right now you're just seeing my screen, but I don't know how to get back to anybody else's face because if I go here.
So if you click that share screen button again at the very bottom, that will give back control to just kind of the default. And then I think everybody's faces should come back.
New share? Is that what I want? Or stop sharing?
Stop share. Yep, that'll do it.
There you go. There's a few questions in the chat about how you grade Edpuzzle, or can you grade Edpuzzle?
Yeah, so if you go, let me see. Oh, I stopped sharing my screen. So in Edpuzzle, as the teacher, Edpuzzle is like its own classroom. So as the teacher, whoever you assign that Edpuzzle to, so your own virtual classroom, those students will go in, take it, and then you as the teacher will see the comments that they have on your video, and then also any and so again, you weren't able to see because we went in as the student and not as the instructor. But so if I asked a couple of multiple choice questions, I'll be able to see what they got and what they didn't get. And so that way then if one person is kind of struggling and really understanding how to create blacks, and I can see that through the assignment that they would then post on mixing their own blacks, I could go back and have multiple data points for them to look at, and then so that I can rework something else so that they can start using a different way to get their blacks.
Shane makes the point that Edpuzzle is like a video Google form. So
yeah.
So great.
Any other questions? I also, I should say too, I showed this to, so this semester I had a art appreciation class that were my guinea pigs, so to speak, and I had them each go into this, well, not each individually, but I brought the Blackboard course up and I had them kind of go through it and to look out for any kinks or anything like that they saw were an issue, and they all really liked it. They were very apprehensive at first because they were thinking, it's a studio class, how am I going to get the feedback and how am I going to know what to do? And I think that a good point, and I don't know that I highlighted this in the beginning, is that I think that if studio classes were to be taught completely online, they couldn't be introductory courses such as like a painting where you are painting for the very first time. This watercolor class is geared towards more advanced students that know color theory, know how to draw. That way then this is just a new media type that they're working with, because there was a lot of apprehension of like, well, I don't know what the three primary colors are. Well, this class, you would have had to have that knowledge before entering into it. And I think that's important to say, because while I do think that there is a space for and a place for online media classes, I think that it has to start at a little bit of an advanced level more so than a beginner level, just because there is a lot that you have to, that we take for granted when we're talking to someone one-on-one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're seeing some general comments from folks who are watching who are not in Capstone yet, who are a little bit intimidated, but very appreciative of what you did. So.
Oh, good. I know I'm a big fan of Blackboard. I really am. I think it allows you for that instant feedback as a teacher. I think Blackboard really does allow you to give feedback in various different ways pretty quickly. And so you feel like you're right on the ball.
Right. More generally, I meant to say that these students are looking at everything that everybody.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
No, my fault. That was not.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're still up there. So.
Oh, shit.
But anyway, so people in general liked the presentations and felt that people did a great job.
Yeah, one of the comments was that you guys really raised the bar for people who are doing, coming up into Capstone. And I think that's true of this group and of the last group who shared on, I forget what night it was, I think Thursday. Every semester, you guys really keep raising the bar of expectations of what a capstone project can look like. So kudos to all of you for just really great, well thought out projects. And Sharee had mentioned too, who would have thought 20 years ago that we'd be talking about teaching watercolor or basketball online, so I think you guys have really shown the potential of what's possible in using digital media. So great work, everybody, and congratulations on finishing up. Oh, Troy's done. That's it. He's
Good job, everybody.
Hey.
So we'll see a bunch of you at the end of the week. Some of you we won't, but it's been really a pleasure. I think it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
everybody.
Kristen. Thanks, Ruth.
The same. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.